Thank you for listening to the show on Really Big Something Channel. April 25th, 2018.
The Kuhner Report is powered by Kelly Financial Services, cleaning up your financial bull. Get the peace of mind that you deserve at Kelly Financial Services.
The illegal immigrant caravan has arrived at our border. And should Trump deport them? What should we do? Okay, my friends, here is now the absolute latest in a growing showdown. Remember, this illegal immigrant caravan was trekking all the way from Central America. It was allowed to come in right through the border with Mexico and making its way all across Mexico, El Norte, to the U.S. border. Well, along the way, Trump kept saying, along with Attorney General Jeff Sessions, that they were not welcome in the United States, that they would be deported if they arrived on American soil. They put maximum pressure on the Mexican government to try to disband the caravan. Some members were disbanded, but the caravan continued. And listen to this. Even though the Mexican government guaranteed them asylum, meaning they could stay in Mexico. So if you're allegedly, as many of them are claiming, fleeing persecution, violence, MS-13 gangs, wars, whatever they claim they're fleeing from either El Salvador, Honduras, Nicaragua, they could stay in safety in Mexico. But life isn't as good in Mexico as it is in the United States. And in particular, to be very candid, the welfare checks are nowhere near as big or as lucrative in Mexico as they are here with the dumb gringo in El Norte, in America. And so they have now continued all the way to the U.S. border. They are at Tijuana right now, heading towards San Diego. 130 women and children have arrived, and following them are about 500 men who are going to be joining them. So in all, there's going to be about 600, 650 people that now are essentially going to rush the border and try to get in. They have been met by radical open borders advocates. One of the most prominent being, and I've reported on them before, they are tied to La Raza. They are tied to George Soros, who's a big funder, a major donor. This is Pueblos Sin Fronteras, essentially countries without borders. And they are now claiming that any illegal immigrant has the right to enter the United States. And in particular, not only does any illegal anywhere in the world have the right to come in, according to this group and many on the left, but furthermore, this group of these caravan migrants are now going to be demanding asylum. So they're being lawyered up as I speak to you now. They're meeting with American lawyers who are now going to teach them how to apply for asylum status. And according to U.S. immigration law, they then will have to be detained as their asylum application is processed and adjudicated. And they are hoping that they are going to be released into the general public and allowed to basically function in American society and then return for their asylum hearing. Now, let me tell you what's going to happen. They are going to apply for asylum status. Almost every single one of them does not deserve asylum. There are no wars raging right now in Central America. There are no major calamities taking place. Yes, there's a lot of violence. Yes, there's a lot of poverty. Yes, MS-13 is running rampant. Yes, but those are dysfunctional third world societies. And they are simply fleeing Honduras, El Salvador, and Nicaragua because MS-13 has essentially overtaken those countries. They are essentially narco states. And so now they are fleeing their countries, claiming to be political refugees when they're not political refugees. They're going to demand asylum status, and we're going to have to process them according to U.S. immigration law, and it's going to be catch and release. And they're going to be released. And I bet you 95% of them are never going to come back for their hearing. You will never hear or see them again. They will disappear into the so-called shadows. Many will disappear into San Diego. Many will go a little bit further north to Los Angeles. Many are going to go into New Mexico or Texas. But I'll tell you right now, a lot of them are going to make it all the way to the true El Norte, here in Massachusetts and in New York City. And why? Because in New York City and Massachusetts, if you're an illegal and you want a nice sanctuary city and you want EBT, you want a nice welfare check, you want food stamps, you want public housing, you want mass health, you want all the goodies of a welfare state, my friend, California's good, but Massachusetts is even better. New York also can give us a good run for our money. And so they are just going to continue to disappear and disperse across the United States. Jeff Sessions, the Attorney General, has now said he wants them deported as quickly as possible. And on this one, Sessions is 1,000% correct. According to Sessions, this is a blatant attempt to undermine the rule of law and to undermine our immigration laws and our immigration system. These people are claiming that they simply have the right, because they happen to come from a third world hellhole, to come into the United States. Full stop. Well, by this logic, if they have the right to come in, then all of Latin America has the right to come in. All of Africa has the right to come in. All of Asia has the right to come in. All of Eastern Europe has the right to come in. All of the Middle East has the right to come in. My friends, we're going to be overwhelmed. I mean, this is absolute insanity. What the left and this caravan, and this is why this has become such a hot button symbolic issue, what this caravan and these illegal immigrant advocates are saying is that America does not have the right to enforce its borders, to enforce its culture, to enforce its laws. What they are telling us is the entire world has the right to come to America, and there is nothing we can do or say to stop it. They are abusing our generosity. They are abusing our asylum laws. They are abusing our immigration system. And this is why I am strongly urging the President of the United States, do not even allow them to cross the border. Because once they cross, I don't care what Sessions says, I don't care what the Department of Homeland Security says, they're going to be processed, they're going to be detained, they will be released, and you will never see them again. And that's just going to encourage more illegal immigration, more caravans. Now, a couple of other points, and then I want to throw it open to you. 617-266-6868. This is a crisis. This is a border crisis. This is, to me, a crisis of the rule of law. And this is, to me, a national crisis. And a couple of points need to be made. Number one, if these people are genuinely fleeing political persecution, war, civil war, atrocities, Mexico's not at war. No one's going to shell you or kill you or shoot you or persecute you in Mexico. So if you're really concerned about asylum, meaning you just want to flee a war-ravaged country, or political persecution, or genocide, or whatever, none of this, by the way, is happening, but let that go, then Mexico has already said, we'll take you. Furthermore, Mexico, they speak Spanish. So if I'm a Honduran, or I'm an El Salvadorian, or I'm a Nicaraguan, let me be honest with you, culturally, religiously, linguistically, Mexico is as close to my homeland as I can possibly get. So if my interest is safety, and by the way, they're using the kids as props. So they're throwing out these 8, 10-year-olds saying, oh, my daughter can't go to school no more because, violence. She's going to get killed. Well, she's not going to get killed in Mexico. There's no war in Mexico. There's no civil war in Mexico. There's no genocide in Mexico. Stay in Mexico. But you don't want to stay in Mexico. So why do you want to come to the United States? I'll tell you why. Because they know that this is the most generous, lavish welfare state in the world. This country will take care of you from A to Z. You, your children, and then afterwards, you can bring in the entire familia. They'll all come on in. All of it on the American taxpayer's dime. Point one. Point number two. Many of these people are claiming, and on this they do have a legitimate argument, that MS-13 has taken over their countries. That this vicious, notorious, maybe the most dangerous gang in the world, essentially runs El Salvador and is a very destructive force in Honduras and Nicaragua. Well, what are we finding out? Among this caravan and among other illegal immigrants that have been pouring in, MS-13 has infiltrated their ranks. You don't believe me? I could do this all day, but here's one story. According now to the Associated Press, the AP, Standard Wire Service, now U.S. Border Patrol agents are saying that MS-13 gang members are sneaking into the United States, claiming to be illegal immigrant children. And in fact, what they're doing is they're claiming that they're unaccompanied alien children. In other words, they don't have parents. And the reason why they're claiming this is because under our immigration laws, you are fast-tracked. You are put to the front of the line and admitted into our country much quicker than if you say you came with your parents. Well, they're finding out that they're claiming to be unaccompanied illegal minors, but in reality, they are MS-13 gangbangers. One of them that they nailed was Herbeth Giovanni Argula Chavez. He claimed to be an illegal unaccompanied minor. It turns out he is 18 years of age, and he is a member of the deadly MS-13 gang. That he was brought into this country to help them with their narco trafficking, drug dealing, and to implement executions, to go after any and all opponents of MS-13. Which brings me now to the mother of all points. These are not just so-called women and children. MS-13 is using our porous, open border to come into our country. They have now established strongholds all across California, all across Texas, all across New York, and yes, now they're rearing their ugly head here in Massachusetts and in Boston. And if you want to see how dangerous this gang is, this is the gang that the mainstream liberal media keeps telling us, who are they? We never heard of them. What is Trump talking about, the need for a wall to stop all these drugs and criminals pouring in across the southern border? Jeff Sessions has ordered a crackdown on MS-13 gang violence because they are out of control. They're killing illegal immigrants in our cities. They are killing children. They are killing innocent citizens. They are dealing drugs, death, and destruction. Now, MS-13 has given out the order to all of their foot soldiers. We have to do in America like we do in El Salvador. Kill the cops. make the cops afraid of us. And so now, in Nassau County and across the country, the leadership of MS-13 has now given an order to stop this crackdown. You need to start killing at least 1 or 2 police officers each. They are now ordering MS-13 gangbangers. You see a cop, you kill a cop. They want to turn us into El Salvador, into Honduras, into Nicaragua. You import the third world, you become the third world. I say, don't even allow them to come into the United States. Block them right at the border, because once they're in, you'll never see them again. Agree, disagree, the illegal immigrant caravan. What should the president do? What should the attorney general do? What should America do? 617-266-6868. Your calls next. Tom in New Jersey, you're up next. Thanks for holding and welcome.
Thank you, Jeff, and God bless you for covering the critical issues facing our nation on a daily basis. Hey, Jeff, you know, you watch Fox News, you see these people hanging all over these freight trains. You see them pouring in, and this is a complete invasion of our country. There's no other country in the world that allows this. And this is like one flew over the cuckoo's nest, Jeff. This is beyond insanity. They're destroying. This is like treason on our nation. My question to you and to the House is, where's our military? I mean, President Trump said he was going to guard our border with the military until he got his wall, and then it just died. And Jeff, I want the military to be armed. I don't want them standing there in Halloween costumes. I want them to be armed defending our nation. And what I say to the Hollywood elites, De Niro, Spielberg, and Stone, take your big wad of money, fly down to Honduras, and start giving out $100 bills. Let's put your money where your mouth is. Get down there and take care of the problem instead of invading our country, Jeff. This is Trump's got to do something. This is out of control.
I'm with you, Tom. I'm with you, and amen. Look, they're tying the president's hands. He's being sued now for deploying the National Guard. They're forcing him to only use the Guard as a reserve force to back up the Border Patrol. They can't police the border. They're being prevented from doing that. Congress is now going after Trump on this. The judges and the courts are going after Trump on this. So whenever he tries to protect the border, the liberal court system or Democratic governors like Jerry Brown in California or Democrats with the establishment Republicans in Congress do everything they can to tie his hands. And you look at these Hollywood elites who are all glamorizing this migrant caravan, all these illegal immigrants, love Trump's hate, let them in. Okay, fine. No, really. You want to let them in? Let's do this. Let's do this. If I were the president, here's what I would say. I'm going to let them in. I swear. Here's an executive order. I'm going to allow every single one of them in. However, they can only be relocated in certain zip codes. Because you see, what happens, my friends, is when these illegals come in, you know where they go? They go to working class, middle class neighborhoods. Okay? They don't go to Wellesley. They don't go to Brookline. They don't go to Newton. But I'll tell you where they do go. They go to Saugus. They go to Revere. They go to Salem. They go to Lynn. They go to Malden. They go to Peabody. That's where they go. So what I would say is, no. You know what? I want to level the playing field. I want to give these so-called dreamers a chance at the American dream. So I'm not going to stick them in working middle-class neighborhoods. No. I want them to go to the best schools. I want them to live in crime-free areas. I want them to have access to the finest parks, the finest facilities. So here's what I'm going to do. They're going to go to Malibu. They're going to go to Beverly Hills. They're going to go to Wellesley. They're going to go to Brookline. They're going to go to Newton. No, nothing but the best. Swampscott, where Charlie Faker lives. Let's throw a few around Elizabeth Warren in Cambridge. That's where I'm going to send them. I'm going to send them to Manhattan. I'm going to send them to the Upper East Side in New York. That's where I'm going to send them. And if he did that, all of a sudden, we got to protect our borders. Somebody's got to stop this. This is out of control. In other words, it's time for liberals to put their money where their mouth is. Forget cutting checks or giving out cash in Honduras or El Salvador. Invite them into your home, into your neighborhood, into your own community. But they won't do that. Notice, their neighborhoods are always illegal immigrant free. It's our neighborhoods that get flooded with third world illegals. You phony, you fraud, you. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, my friends, the French President Emmanuel Macron is arguing in favor of an Iran deal. Evan Heidenrich is in the RKO newsroom. He has all of those details. Take it away, Evan.
Thank you for listening to the show on Really Big Something Channel.
1238 here on the great WRKO. Okay, my friends, the caravan of illegal migrants has now reached the U.S. border. It's right there in Mexico in Tijuana. About 130 women and children have arrived. Already the media is there taking pictures, pleading the case for the children, the women, families, saying these are asylum seekers. Open Borders groups are already there, giving them food, water. Lawyers, American lawyers, are there already lawyering, helping to lawyer them up to apply for asylum status. 500 more, mostly men, are expected to arrive later tonight or tomorrow morning, and then they will rush across the border in the San Diego, California sector. They say that they must be admitted as asylum seekers. They say that illegal immigrants have the right to enter the United States, that the United States has no right or business preventing them from coming in and pursuing what they call the American dream. Trump has said he wants them deported immediately. However, U.S. immigration law demands that all of them be processed, that it be adjudicated, that they be detained, and that they will be released to then return for a court date. Many, of course, never come back. My prediction, if you allow them in, you will never see any one of them again. And almost all of them will be on welfare. Take that to the bank. Now, as our borders are being assaulted, as there is now a massive border surge taking place, a federal judge has now delivered another hammer blow to Trump's decision to repeal and rescind DACA and kick it to Congress. Listen now to this. According now to, this is the Associated Press, this happened yesterday. A federal judge has now ruled that President Trump must restore and resume DACA. He is, in fact, giving the administration 90 days to reestablish the Deferred Action Childhood Arrival Program, saying that they must be given, all of them, work permits, access to welfare benefits, and access to in-state tuition if they want to go to school. And what is very different about this ruling is not only is the judge openly saying that you must restart this program, but here's the kicker. Unlike the other two liberal judges, they are telling him we're not just talking about the 700,000 that got amnesty under Obama's illegal executive order. Now you must allow anybody who didn't apply before, they can now apply for DACA status. So this is going to open the floodgates to hundreds and hundreds of thousands of more of people who came into this country illegally as a minor with their parents to be able to now apply for DACA so-called dreamer status. This suit was led by Princeton University and the ACLU, the American Civil Liberties Union. And so the district judge, John D. Bates, a liberal, a moonbat, based in Washington, says that he's now giving, listen to this, the Trump administration 90 days to make a stronger argument, his words, for why the Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals program was rescinded and phased out by Trump last year. According to him, the administration's argument were not sufficient. What was the administration's argument? According to him, quote, he said that according to his reading, that the administration relied on quote unquote meager legal reasoning, and that the argument used by the administration that DACA was illegal and unconstitutional was not sufficient. That it was an abuse of executive power, according to Judge Bates, that was not sufficient. Well, I'm looking at this and I'm like, they don't need to give you any more reasoning than that. It was illegal. It was unconstitutional. So that's it. I mean, end of story. The administration doesn't need to explain to you anything more. Because if you look at the Constitution is crystal clear. Only Congress can pass or make or amend immigration laws. The executive branch, the presidency, has the right to enforce those laws. But only Congress, if they want to give amnesty, for example, only Congress has the power to do that. Not the president. The Constitution is crystal clear. So Judge Bates, in essence, here's what's happening. In essence, Judge Bates is essentially saying, you are not the president of the United States. I am, when it comes to immigration. And Congress doesn't have full discretion and authority over immigration law. I do, from my bench in Washington. So essentially, what this judge is saying is, I don't care about the will of the voters. I don't care about Congress's prerogative. I don't care about the prerogative of the President of the United States. I make the laws. I decide what I want to do. I make policy. So, I mean, what's next? No, really. If they can do this on immigration, well, what's next? Well, what's next? We should bomb Syria? Say, no, I'm sorry. No. Sorry, Mr. President, that airstrike, those 100 Tomahawk missiles, that wasn't enough. No. We need a couple more days of bombing. I mean, this is a clear usurpation of presidential power, of executive power, and of legislative congressional power. He doesn't have any business writing this decision. Since when does a judge make law? Since when does a judge's prerogative override that of Congress or the president when the Constitution is crystal clear? So what you're seeing now, and it's obvious what's going on here, what they're trying to do is they're trying to keep DACA alive until after the midterms. Because Nancy Pelosi has openly stated, if we win back the House, the first thing we're going to do is pass amnesty to all illegal immigrants in America. Number 2 is gun control. But number 1 is going to be amnesty. And so here you have now the federal judiciary, these rogue, out-of-control liberal judges, essentially now overruling and overriding the rights of Congress and the right of the president. This is judicial tyranny. This is judicial supremacy. That's what this is in a nutshell. And so, if, you know, and I want you to think about what President Trump did. All he did was it was a statement of fact. Obama's executive amnesty to these so-called dreamers was illegal and unconstitutional because he didn't have the power to do it. I am phasing it out, and I'm kicking it to where it belongs. Congress. You want to give him amnesty? It's up to you. You don't want to give him amnesty? It's up to you. It's not my power. It's your power. It's not my prerogative. It's your prerogative. This judge is actually saying, if I disagree with your policy, my will overrides yours. That's not his job. That's a judicial dictatorship. And so what I think the president now needs to say, loudly and clearly, Judge Bates, blank off. Blank off. You should be impeached for usurping our authority and running roughshod over the Constitution. And more than that, you made your ruling, now you go and enforce it. I will not abide by this illegal rogue judge's decision. If he doesn't fight back, my friends, I'm telling you, the Constitution is dead. 617-266-6868. John in Needham, you're up next. Go ahead, John.
How are you, Jeff?
I'm good. How are you, John?
I'm mad at you. You stole all my thunder.
Oh, I'm sorry, John.
Everything I wanted to say. Anyway, as far as what you said earlier, if I was Trump, I would have lots of friends of mine buy property all around. You got to target these people like Nancy and Schumer and all these judges. Get the buses down there and bring them to their neighborhoods, because the lawmakers are the ones that are going to change anything. But I would be building houses, building apartment buildings right in their neighborhoods, and throw in a few MS-13 gangs in there along with it. Now, the next thing is about the judges. He really has, I agree with you, he has to tell them to go to hell and say, you have no authority. As a matter of fact, I'm sending the federal marshals to arrest you for treason. He's got to stand up to these people. Otherwise, they're going to run the country.
John, I'm with you all the way. And thank you for that call. I mean, look, it's very simple. Who rules America? We the people through our elected representatives, Congress and the president, or unelected, unaccountable judges. It really, honestly, it's that simple. So, look, you want amnesty for the dreamers, fight on it, run on it, pass it in Congress. But notice now, you have these judges, these liberal judges, whatever they want to do, they just do. So again, I go back, okay, you want to bomb Syria? But, I mean, you tell me, what do you want? Universal health care? Raise our taxes? Ram it down our throats. I mean, at this point, really, what's the point of having Congress and a president? The judges decide everything anyway. 617-266-6868. Stephen Braintree, you're up next. Thanks for holding and welcome.
Hey, buddy. How are you?
I'm good. How are you, Steve?
You know I love you, but you're off base on this judge for a couple of reasons. The first is that the government made a crappy legal argument. That is the gist of what this judge said. And if the judge wanted to be tyrannical, he just would have issued his ruling and not given them 90 days to come back with a proper legally reasoned argument. So my guess is, and I haven't seen the briefs and what was filed, but my guess is that what this judge is saying is, once an executive order is issued, it has the power of law. And we do not want another executive or another authority coming in and arbitrarily and capriciously removing laws that exist at the time. So if you come up with a good reason and can articulate that to this judge, he will have no problem enforcing your removal of this order. But you can't just have, this willy-nilly system where one executive comes in and passes an administrative executive order, and then the next one comes in and removes it, and then the next one comes in and puts it back. I think what you're dealing with here is a judge that says, don't make crappy legal arguments if you want me to support your position. If he wouldn't have given them 90 days to fix this problem or to come back with a reasoned legal argument, if he was just trying to be, a judicial tyrant, he just would have said, here's my decision, appeal it if you like, I don't care. But that's not what happened here. He said, the government made a crappy argument. I am not going to start this process of, agreeing to remove things once they've been instituted. Give me a reason. Give me something besides, we don't like it, it's unconstitutional. Because really, that's the Supreme Court's decision to make. Give them more. And they obviously didn't do it. I don't mean to, if we're going to go with the pitchforks and the torches and start arresting judges. Let's just be clear about why we're doing it and to make sure. Because this judge could have just issued his ruling and said, I'm enforcing this. I'm issuing an injunction. We're done. Appeal it if you like to the court, next level court of appeals. But he didn't do that.
No, Steve, I hear what you're saying. And in fact, the words that you used, arbitrarily and capriciously, is exactly the words that the judge used. So I understand your legal reasoning. But
That's because constitutionally, that is the bar that needs to be met.
No, I understand that.
When an executive does something, that is the bar that needs to be met when you're changing a law. And he's giving them an out. He says, give me something besides what you've presented so far. And I'm not saying that he doesn't plan to rule against him in 90 days. No,
I understand that. No, Steve. No, you're making, look, honestly, your legal reasoning is impeccable. My point is just this. I think he's giving them 90 days to kick the can down the road. See, you're giving him the benefit of the doubt that, well, he really wants to give them a chance. I think they want to drag this out because they know the midterms are coming and they know the Democrats are going to come in and then pass amnesty. So just keep it going, keep it going. Hold on, Steve, one more second. One more point. The second point is Obama's executive order was blatantly illegal and unconstitutional. It was. I mean, it just was. It wasn't a lawful executive order dealing with, say, the federal the federal government or the administration or whatever, which a president has the right to do to issue an executive order. This was about carving out special status to 700,000 to 800,000 people who came into this country illegally. Only Congress can do that. It was blatantly illegal, blatantly unconstitutional. And so I think a president has the right. You know, you live by the executive order, you die by the executive order. The problem is with Obama. If he wanted amnesty, he had the Democrats controlling both houses of Congress in his first term, the first half of his first term, pass it through Congress. But he didn't want to pass it through Congress. So he imposed it arbitrarily upon the country. I think a president has the right to look at an illegal, unconstitutional executive order and say, I'm sorry, don't blame me, blame Obama. He started this mess.
Right, but and again, even if the Democrats, and this is the same argument that's made for impeachment, all the Democrats taking the House is going to do is make more of a logjam because they're not getting the Senate. The numbers aren't there for them. They're not just going to be able to pass a DACA bill, pass amnesty. It's not getting through the Senate. The Republicans are not losing enough seats. In fact, they have 4 or 5 seats they could actually have a chance at picking up. So the power shift is not going to happen in the Senate. And they know this. The Democrats know this. The same reason they can't get impeachment is the same reason they won't be able to get anything done on healthcare, anything done on amnesty and immigration, anything done on
Steve, let me ask you this.
Tax increases aren't going to happen. You need 60 votes. It's not going to happen.
Steve, I'm up against a very serious break, but let me ask you this though. You don't think there aren't enough rhino Republicans who would be willing to pass an amnesty? A Marco Rubio, a John McCain, a Lindsey Graham, a Susan Collins. I could easily see, if it stays 51-49, I could easily see enough turncoat Republicans joining Democrats and ramming through an amnesty. Am I wrong?
Not 9 of them, though. You'd need 9. You need to get to 60. That's assuming they stay where they're at, which they may not. But even if you have 51-49, you're not going to get 9 rhinos to go along with that, especially
Steve,
drafted the way the Democrats want it. It's just not going to happen. You'd have 3 or 4, but that's about it.
Steve, I just gave you 5 or 6.
Marco Rubio will not do that.
I hope you're right, Steve. Steve, as always, very interesting call. Thank you for that call. More with your calls next. Okay, my friends, 12:59 here on the great WRKO. You don't want to miss the next hour. Trust me when I tell you this. We've got the Yarmouth Police Chief Fredrickson, on for an interview at 1:05. At 1:35, Shauna O'Connell will be on for a newsmaker interview. Should we return or restore the death penalty to Massachusetts for cop killers? And in the wake of the savage killing of that poor police officer, Sean Gannon, down on the Cape, the police are finally saying enough is enough. The judges in Massachusetts are out of control. The criminal justice system needs to be badly reformed. Are they right? And what do we need to do? All of this, so much more. Don't touch that dial.
The voice of Boston is you. 680 WRKO Boston, 100.7 WZLX HD2 Boston, an iHeart radio station.